today it's Emily Charrier-Tissier. She is the CEO and co-founder for Whale Seeker, and she's joining me from Quebec, Canada. Hi, Emily. How are
Hi,
you?
good. I'm good. How are you? Good morning.
Very good. Good morning. So nice to finally have you on the Web Makers podcast.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Super fans from this side of the world. And can you share with us a little bit what do you do with Whale Seeker? What's
Yeah. Well, the fandom is mutual. So I'm a big fan of what you guys are building. And so thank you so much for creating this community. So Whale Seeker is a Canadian company that uses responsible and ethical artificial intelligence to detect marine animals and environmental conditions from images. So, images taken from planes, from drones, and also from satellite images.
Ooh. And is there
Yeah.
anything exciting happening or going to happen in the previous months
Yeah.
or next months?
So last week we got some really delicious news that we were recognized for the second time on Archives under the auspice of UNESCO's top AI projects in the world to meet the Sustainable
Ooh.
Development Goals. So their top category is outstanding, and this is the second time that they've published the list, and the second time we've gotten an outstanding rating on that list. And the first time that we made that list was for our first solution called Mobius. And that is a non real time AI with a human, so human in the loop, solution to detect marine animals from aerial images, so images taken from planes and from drones. And this time, the solution that got recognized is called CEDIS, and
Mhm.
it's basically the same idea, but using very high resolution satellite images.
Okay. So second
Yeah.
time recognition.
Second time recognition. Yeah, very excited, and very proud of everyone's really hard work
Congratulations
to
to
make
you and
that
your team.
list. Yeah,
Amazing.
thanks.
And moving on into your future footprint or looking ahead in the future, what legacy would you like to leave?
The legacy that I would like to leave is that I I made an impact so that my daughter can see whales in the wild. And
Yeah.
so it's very our aspirations are very global,
Hmm.
but it's a very local and a very specific legacy that I'm hoping to leave. Yeah.
Hmm. To preserve that beauty that we can see in the ocean.
Yeah, that magic. And it's so important to be able to discover places of the world from, videos and podcasts and everything. But we know there's no substitute for actually being in nature, and just that magical feeling and awe that you get when you're next to a whale and you hear it, and it's almost an echo when it inhales. It's so big and magical, and you can just feel this power, and then and just that feeling that comes over you that you can't really describe and is so individual. It's that connection that I want to be able to preserve for the possibility of that feeling that I want to be able to preserve for the future generations.
Now that you say it, have you been able to share this with your daughter? Have you seen whales together with your?
We've seen whales together, but we haven't been very close to them. So
Yeah.
she hasn't had that opportunity to. I think she made the connection that, okay, mama and papa research this. We work on whales. She's very aware of the biology and ecology and all the whales, and she's kind of sick of it. She's just so in it so much. But then we were out on the water with one of our collaborators, very kindly allowed us to bring Agatha on a research vessel. and she was able to, be amongst all the adults and everyone that's, doing the official counts and making the observations, and then to actually, have binoculars and say, oh, I saw one, and then, just to give her that importance and that inclusion. And I think it's so important, and it was really important to her, and it was really important to us, and everyone on the
Family.
boat
Yeah.
to show that it's inclusive. And yeah, yeah, it's very
Beautiful.
good.
What a privilege.
Yeah,
And
truly, truly.
yeah. And I think it's linked to my next question with regards kind of the purpose and the drive. Like I would love to hear, because you have an amazing kind of background and
Mm,
story. Like you please
yeah.
share a little bit more of how this journey started.
Sure. So I'm an ecologist and a biostatistician, and I love numbers, and I love how populations are interact with each other, and all the different forces of how everything coexists and changes and evolves, and that very the sort of the beautiful mess that is the natural world. I really love that aspect. And I worked in Alaska for several years, and I worked on Sable Island, Nova Scotia, for a few summers, and then I met my husband, who's a whale scientist, so wildlife biologist. That is, his passion are whales. And during my maternity leave, my husband and I had the opportunity to work together on a WWF Arctic Species Grant, where we were taking the work that he was doing on his graduate degree, which was looking at aerial images of whales and trying to standardize the process. So, how far do they need to be from each other in order for them to be considered a group? How do we identify, formally which young belongs to which adult?
Mm.
What does it mean when they are, all the bodies are oriented in a different way versus sort of in that fighter pilot?
Yeah.
They can he can you can also understand how the animals are using the habitat. Are they using it for traveling, or are they stopping and feeding or doing some socializing? And so he's really interested by the animals themselves, and he's sort of less interested in the statistics and all the interpretation that has to be done behind. But that's the part that I really like.
Yeah.
So we said, let's work together on this project.
Mm.
And that's where I saw just really um, how poor the data are in the marine mammal world. And it's for a lot of different reasons. It's very hard to get those data. It's very expensive. And
Mm.
so when you have, not many observations, it's still better than nothing, and it's still very good for this aspect of science and studying these species. And it isn't until recently that we've been able to really leverage remote sensing and to be able to give a richer data set to the marine mammal scientists too. And but the bottleneck that we saw was, so people are gathering images, but then the analysis of those images takes a really long time. And it's not an exact science either. And
Mm.
you need experience in that. You need experience from a plane to be, and also on the water, to be able to understand the environment, and to be able to interpret what you're seeing accurately. It's not someone who's never, been on an aircraft to do aerial surveys that's going to best be able to interpret aerial images. So
Mm.
it was really about, how do we help lots of different market verticals fill this one gap in their research and in their decision making, because it was at the point where people were not even gathering aerial images because they said it's going to take too long to analyze them. And by the time we analyze them, the results aren't going to be as meaningful. And so they were sort of going towards other methods. And because of artificial intelligence and because of drones and because of satellite images and because really technology has been able to bridge that gap, we've been able to leverage that because when we started in 2018, AI was not what it is today. And people sort of thought we were crazy to be using AI for detecting whales. We were always sort of the black sheep and, all of the different, AI groups that we were in. And, but it's, the future has sort of, taken, done a lot of the heavy lifting for us and met us, on the horizon of where we are today. And so we've been able to create these tools that really use, it's not just a biology team that hires a tech company to say, we need all of the whales detected in these images, because there's a lot of talking back and forth and understanding, and the people who are building the tools need to understand the context of the data that they are sort of mashing about and trying to filter out what is not necessary, what is necessary. So having biologists and the tech team not on separate teams, but on the same team and talking to each other every day and getting to really know each other has made it so much more powerful. And we've been able to sort of, jump a few steps ahead because of that collaboration and that multidisciplinary approach that we've taken from the beginning. And
so it's in a way, it's standardizing the process that it used to be just the human eye.
That's right. Exactly. And that's how it's still largely done, is just with the human eye. But we know that humans get tired after lunch, or, they sort of get bored and look off and they might miss a psh, and then the whale is gone, and humans are fallible. So it's absolutely normal that we would want to leverage computers to do what computers do really well, which is go through lots and lots and lots and lots of data. They're the workhorse, they do the heavy lifting. But what the algorithms and computers are not very good at are those edge cases and sort of the nuance, and is this a whitecap? Is this a whale? And then the human will be able to say, well, what species do I know, are in this area? What is my experience? How can I tell the difference? And then it's really that human expertise that we need to tell, the like 5 to 10% of those edge cases that we're going to make a judgment call on. But then we train the algorithm on those judgment calls too, so that it's always getting better. And that's the good thing about AI too, is that it's learning and learning
the technology.
Absolutely. But and I would say one of the biggest fears and misconceptions about AI is that, well, it's not a misplaced fear, but that it's going to take jobs. And when I'm talking about the AI tools that we are building and that we're using, it's very boxed in. It's in this one use case for this one, type of job. And it can't work on its own. It needs the marine biologists to offer that context and to use it in the right way. So the way that I explain it is sort of like if people in the olden days, before we had power tools and they were building a house, they would need to manually screw in every screw with a screwdriver. Well, now we've got the power drill, but we still need the architects to have that to plan, because you can misuse a tool or you can use it great, but it's not going to really be the tool's fault. It's going to be the human's fault that didn't know what it was doing. So we absolutely cannot toss aside humans, critical thinking of humans. So they need, we all need to stay engaged, and we need to understand the AI that is in front of us and that we're using. It's too much to ask of everyone to say, oh, we don't, everything that's happening in AI, it moves so fast. There's so much going on, but if we can just sort of break it down and say, okay, this is a tool that I'm interested in. I'm going to learn about this, and I'm going to learn to ask critical questions about this AI tool and how we can best use it, and then use it in the best way that works for your situation.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because it's what you were saying is like it's quantifying how many whales can you see and how old they are, but it's also the behavior, right? Like you need to have understanding, and that you need the scientists to.
That's right.
Where are they going, or the temperatures of the water? There's, I don't know, different factors that.
That's right. And because we say that we can detect the animals, but we don't interpret what that means. So we will give the data to the scientists, and then they can decide, this is what we found in these areas. What does this mean? And that can mean something very different for the government that's managing a species, or if they are building a port and they need to make sure that they stop their, underwater drilling, if animals come to a certain distance. So what it means is very context specific, and we don't want to, we don't pretend to know how to use these data in the best way. So we want to make sure that we collaborate, and we're really working with the clients so that we can say, what data matters to you? How do you need that data delivered? How fast do you need it? So that you can make your decisions. And sometimes that data is very precise. And sometimes they just say, listen, we just need to know yes or no. Is there an animal, in this radius? And so, so it really varies.
Incredible. It's accessibility, standardization, but it's also kind of the communication between the human and the technology, which is incredible and evolving every day. I guess you're constantly learning and having fun with it. But in this kind of process, have you had any kind of, what has been your biggest challenge or surprise while building your company?
What has been the biggest? I will say the challenge. The challenge, I think, has been that people who are not in the blue economy, or even some people who are, because the whole Save the Whales campaign, 40 years ago to stop commercial whaling globally. It was a bumper sticker. It was a very sort of, granola, save the whales, that we are kind of suffering from that legacy now. And people don't really take us seriously. They will say, oh, well, they're not, this is a cute way to use artificial intelligence, but they don't realize that it's an important puzzle piece that we're coming to help with in shipping, port management, marine protected area, government. I mean, everything that's happening with, debt for nature swaps right now. We're looking at, blue capital really getting insured now. Insurance is here for, marine protected areas and for coral reefs. And so the whole monetization and people putting a lot more economic value so that blue assets in the ocean and the ocean health is visible to the market,
Mm.
that requires data. That
Yeah.
requires accessible, high quality, trustworthy data, or none of these conservation goals, none of these decarbonization goals will be able to be achieved or tracked, or how do we know if we actually met it? So it's really that data gap in there, which people are realizing more and more. So
Mm.
I'm having less that conversation now than I used to, but it's really exciting that the blue economy has grown in such a way that is much more holistic. And
Yeah.
and I think we really saw that with the United Nations Ocean Conference this past
Mhm.
year in Nice,
Mhm.
where we had a lot of finance partners coming to the table. And I saw it especially at the Blue Economy and Finance Forum in Monaco, where there were heads of state and the World Bank was there talking about, um, blended finance and about how do we work together to de-risk, because the traditional venture capital doesn't really work
No.
very well for the
Mm.
ocean economy.
Mm.
And so what's a new financial model? Because we need money, it's happening on a different time scale. How can we sort of reinvent things? And I think we really saw that coming together and realization that we need everybody at the table.
Yeah.
And so that's what's giving me a lot of hope for this, moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's changing. And I think that the lack of education, it's kind of on the relevance of the ocean and the
Yeah.
ecosystem. Like the whales are a big part of the ecosystem. And if you can understand
Yeah.
reasons why they're behaving in certain ways, you can kind of identify the problem, make a decision, and then
Yeah.
maybe adjust accordingly. So,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, one thing that we're working on right now is our certified routes. And because I think with the ocean, people who live on the ocean, it's part of who they are,
mm,
their legacy, their history, it's important to them. But most of the world, most of the habitable world is not living right on a coast. And
mm,
so how do we connect everyone to the
yeah,
ocean and make them understand that even though it's not in their backyard, that
mm,
they should care about it and they have agency over it. and
mm,
and very similar to sort of the cruelty free stamp that we see on shampoos and makeup and
yeah,
soap and things like that. What we're driving towards is a whale seeker certified route, so that people can know that the goods that were transported, which is 90% of the world's goods, is transported via marine
yeah,
traffic.
exactly.
And to say, oh, I can make a choice, I can vote with my dollar, and to say, oh, I'm going to choose this product that was shipped in a way that reflects my values, and
Mm,
instead of this one. And so that's a system that we're setting up right now. So there are lots of different ways to engage with that. So obviously, if you are a shipping company or a routing company,
mm,
that's a very obvious way to get engaged with us. But also, if you are a company that ships your goods, you
yeah,
can also engage with us then too. And then it's no skin off their nose. They can say, listen, whoever is shipping our goods needs to ship our goods on whale seeker certified routes when they're available. And then that way too, those companies will have more quantifiable data for their scope 3 emissions, for marine biodiversity, for underwater radiated noise, for all of these metrics that we don't have a good grasp on right now. And
mm,
so, and also the oceans are managed very fragmented, very piecemeal. So a country's exclusive economic zone, the high seas, And this is also a way to look at a route end to end and to say, okay, from A to B, wherever I was going in the ocean, did I use, available data? What choices did I make on my routing? Obviously, safety of the vessel and the people on board comes first. So, this is, again, a way for us to give more data to the decision makers, but ultimately they're the ones that make the decisions and say, okay, this is, sometimes we have the luxury of being able to slow down and being able to go around. Sometimes ocean conditions might not allow for that, but at least they've got those data. They can measure those metrics and they can make those decisions where before it wasn't even a decision to make. So, and then also, organizations that would like to help support decarbonization, ocean biodiversity, and all of those, even if you're not directly involved in the actions of it, if it's something that you want to support too, then that's a way for you to get involved with us as well. Yeah.
Like it comes to mind the idea of conservation and industry. They don't need to fight, it needs to be a closer collaboration and understanding that you can do business, but you can also do it in a responsible way. And this, like using the technology on your side and care for the environment. And I think there's a lot of information in the data that we don't even know the impact of noise or,
That's
we're
right.
building renewable energy, and what does that mean for animals or
and I think especially for go ahead.
No, it also came to mind like deep sea mining, like taking minerals from the depth of the ocean. Like we don't even know what are the implications for the depth, the species in the depth, but also in the different levels of the ocean. And we need to get the hands of this technology and talk to people like you, like what are really the consequences if we are not aware, like
that's right,
the world needs to know.
That's right. Exactly.
I love the kind of the direction of where this is going and how it's a win-win, definitely. Like, because conservation is not like a romantic thing, and I think maybe that's the way you were saying, like the misunderstanding of saving the whales, or
that it's a luxury in the sense of, if people are fighting to survive and they're hungry or there's war, if there's safety, then conservation is not top of mind. But once we take a step down from that, conservation really is important to the resiliency of, to climate change. We know that it's the world is all connected, and we know too that if we want to have food in 50 years for our food security, we need a healthy ecosystem, and we need data to do that. And so really, I don't share this view, but a lot of people think, data is boring and not very sexy, but it's the first domino, and we're so concerned with the dominoes that fall afterwards, but we don't think about the first domino. And that's where I find my passion.
I love your passion. I'm not a scientist, but I love the way you guys work, and I always been like fascinated with what data could provide, and organizing it, and as you are doing, standardize it to make it accessible for everyone.
To make it accessible. Yeah, that's just it. Is that everyone needs more data. Everyone needs better data to make decisions that matter to them and also that matter to the world.
Agree.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And moving on to your door openers, who has been a big supporter of Whale Seeker early on?
Yeah. I mean, we're very lucky to be in Canada
Mm,
where we decided very early on that we had to work with the regulators. Otherwise, what we were developing wasn't going to matter, and if it didn't meet regulatory standards. And so instead of this sort of us against them, which is also something that we find a lot in oceans, where it's, industry versus government versus the NGOs, but really we all have um, the same place that we're headed to on the horizon. We don't want to maybe do things exactly the same way right now, but we all want to end up in the same place. And if we can think about that, there's a lot more collaboration that we can have to find out how can it be win-win. And one of the early groups that we worked with was the Fisheries and Oceans Canada, the Arctic division. So my husband did a lot of work in the Arctic for his graduate work, studying narwhals and beluga. I worked in Alaska, and I worked a lot in sort of climate change and sort of how are those systems changing. So we had a lot of connections in the Arctic. And so it was a natural choice for us to collaborate with the Arctic division. Um, and we've been working together and publishing papers together, and sort of helping each other out, um, it, you know, in a rigorous way.
mm.
So we've really appreciated to be working with our government in such a collaborative, really healthy way, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. So it's probably not a normal first step, but but yeah, so I would say the Canadian government has been very helpful. And then also we've had really good tax incentives
Mm,
for entrepreneurs doing research and development. It's such heavy, expensive work when you're an entrepreneur to do that R&D right up front. And the Canadian government also has some really good tax incentives, that we can get a lot of the salary back that we
mm.
spent on R&D salary. And so that helps us be able to do that as well. So I would say I would say that. And then the world is big, but it's also very small. And so when you have researchers, or we just had a bunch of biologist buddies, and they said, "Oh, we have the same problem, but we're in energy, and we have the same problem, but we're working in Africa, and we're working on offshore energy, and we're working with small indigenous fisheries." And everyone was saying, "Oh, well, we have the same problem, but we're in different parts of the world, and we're in different
Mm,
in different businesses, really."
yeah.
And so with that community, we were able to say, "Okay, well, what's just that one piece that would sort of help everybody do their job a little bit better?"
Mm.
And so it's been just this sort of tight community, yeah, sort of right off the bat.
Yeah. Hurrah, Canada.
Rock
Amazing.
Canada. Yeah.
Go, Canada. Yeah, because that's the way to go, right? Like, because it
Yeah.
permeates down to everybody, and kind of lifting is not only the industry but the value of the economy of a country, which
Yeah, it
is
is. Yeah, and I would say too that one of the first people to take us seriously to were two people in Techstars AI. It's an accelerator, and we were the black sheep, and they took a chance on us and said, "Okay, we'll take this wild card, using AI for whales
Mm,
instead of
mm,
healthcare and sports and machinery and insurance." And they're AI is not usually thought of with whales, especially wasn't back in 2020. And so I would say, yeah, Bruno really took a big chance on us, and we're so thankful to him that he, went outside of the box and really helped us. Yeah.
Amazing. And scaling your needs to a dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Which ideal partners or customers or investors would you want to have on board?
Mm, that is a great question. And it has changed a lot in the past, I would say, year. Because this past year, if you think of just the geopolitics that have changed so drastically, everything around environmental monitoring, the value of environments, how AI is created and managed, the ethics around AI, the responsibility that has sort of been tossed out the window in a lot of cases with a lot of these big private companies, women's rights, diversity and inclusion. And so all of those are really pillars of what we're about and what we're doing and what we're building, and also how we build it. And so it's really, I feel like it's really divided the community, and there's the move fast and be damned with the ethics of things group. And then there's the people who are saying, ooh, it's important. This is important now more than ever. And so what we've been able to see is that staying true to our values has actually attracted business, thankfully. But also because of how holistic and how the blue economy has grown and how government and finance has gotten involved, data has a different value now. And I don't have to explain why ocean data is important as much anymore. And so our ideal collaborators and investors would be sort of at that country or global governance level, like the IMO, IHO, UN organizations, and then the countries that are deciding to lead and to say, we are doing this differently. Here's how we are going to lead the pack, those visionaries, because we do have the teeth to make things actionable and we can move fast. And so I would say that those are the people and the organizations and the countries that we are looking to attract. And we're also very eager to work with companies that want to ship their goods in a different way. And so, yeah, we would be very eager to work with them and see how we can really change things up and make them much more successful and just up the rigor of ocean reporting and nature positive. And one of the things that is so exciting about just using ocean routing as a solution is that rightfully so, shipping is investing heavily in switching fuel types and retrofitting their vessels, and this is very expensive and very heavy lifting, and it's an investment that they're making that they need to, otherwise they won't meet their decarbonization goals, which they have set, and I'm so glad that they're doing that. But this is something that they can do that doesn't require changing fuel types, changing your retrofitting your vessel for something. It's something that everyone can use. And so it's something that we can action immediately also, and to start to have those biodiversity benefits and the climate benefits and the carbon benefits and the pollution, if we're talking about sound pollution. So
Mm.
it's a solution that doesn't require very much investment to get the
Mm.
benefits right away.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
understanding the routes, like obviously the shipping routes, but now that
Yeah.
you were talking, I was thinking like, wouldn't it be amazing to have a whale highway? You know,
Yeah.
that it's the whale, but I guess they behave differently and
Yeah.
according to weather and everything. But it's like to get to the point to understand how is the movement in the ocean of the
Yeah.
different animals. Like I guess at some point we will be able
And
to
it's
know.
and it's
I don't know.
why yeah, but it's really why we need that inclusive work, because it's
Mm.
too big of a job for one organization to
Yeah,
tackle.
yeah.
And and with climate change and shipping increasing, different species are changing their ranges, their
Mm.
migration timing is changing, ocean currents are shifting. So it's all dynamic, and we
Mm.
need to all work together in order to be able to understand what's happening with ocean ecology, and then what can we change, what can't we change with the way
Mm.
that we're creating industry. But I feel like right now we're just missing, it's in the dark right now, so we can't even include it in our decision making. But if
No.
we can at least bring these data to light, it's more information with which people can make choices.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, mind-blowing. Super exciting. I started to see the highway.
Yeah, yes,
Like,
exactly.
you know what I was imagining? Like when you hear about the meteorology, you know, how the weather behaves, like
Yeah.
understanding how species behave in the ocean, that we, you know, obviously the industry could have a better, closer connection to how the ocean behaves
Yes,
beyond the weather.
that's right. Yeah,
Uh,
beyond the weather. Yeah. Yeah.
it could be, yeah, very, very exciting.
It could
In a few
be.
years,
Yes,
maybe.
it is. It is. No, it's exciting today. It's exciting
Yes, it
today.
is exciting today. It is super exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
And I think the next question is maybe linked to what you're saying. Kind of your biggest challenge today. What's kind of your biggest hurdle?
Yeah, the biggest challenge today is, I think, coming off of this sort of geopolitical um pendulum swing,
Mm.
and elections, and we're midway through the UN Ocean Decade.
Yeah.
What we've found the past year and a half is that everyone has sort of been holding their breath, and they've been
Mm.
going, oh, everything is
Yeah.
changing. Everybody
Yeah.
pause. What are they doing? What are they doing? What's going to happen? And so
Mm.
everybody's been holding their breath and not moving and not investing in things and not making a decision, because everybody is waiting for what's going to happen so that they can make their best decision.
Yeah.
And I think that pause in everything, governments, private industry, energy, investors, that has been the hardest for
Mm.
the small companies, is to have that cash flow to go, okay, well, we understand that everyone is sort of being safe and waiting, but things still need to flow, and we're all going to die if everyone doesn't start to breathe at one point. And so
Mm.
how can we start to get that flow going in a really positive way that takes into
Mm.
account the new world that we live in and our new goals, and the including the market into conservation and industry, and how we can all work together in a really cohesive way. And I think people are
Mm.
just tired of talk
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And everyone's so tired of talk, like, what can we do now? And that's also why you know the work that we're doing is, it's ready now. you know, and it's ready for small communities, and it's ready for big industries, and it's ready for government, and it's why we've been sort of playing both sides of the coin since we started. Working with the regulators allows us to, you know, have more credibility on with private industry, and because private industry needs to meet the standards that the regulators are creating. So
Yeah.
if we don't work with the regulators at you know, the local, at the federal level, but also at the international level, we're not going to get that buy-in from conservation and industry. And so it's able to work with everybody at once, and really having the recognition, coming back to the beginning of our conversation, having that recognition from UNESCO too, saying, look, this is one of the top
Yes.
you know, 17 AI projects in the world for us to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 14, life underwater, is the most underfunded, but we live on the blue planet. And there is no climate change reparation or help without a healthy ocean ecosystem. And so just that, I feel like, has been our biggest hurdle, is for people are just sort of waiting to go, what move do we make on the chessboard now? And yeah, so it's yeah,
It's, I think I see it as a hurdle, but it's also an opportunity, maybe
absolutely.
to change the perspective of the
Yes.
way you used to depend on other economies or on other countries, and also have a look around.
Yeah,
The world
it's
is quite
true.
big, right?
That's
Like you're
right.
sitting in Canada, I'm sitting in Norway, and you know, we're starting a movement here, and
Yeah.
it's so many things that could be done, and it's just we need to spread the word. So
Yes.
yeah, I think, as you say, is now
It
the
is now.
excitement
Yeah.
is now. So
That's right.
for
Yeah.
the tool community, or our audience, to support you will be to get more curious about it, access, read about it.
Yes,
Well, how
sign
would you
up.
say?
Yeah,
Mhm.
sign up on our website. So by the time you maybe can put this together for everyone to see, I will give you the resources. People can sign up, and like I said, there's lots of different ways to get involved. If you want to just support us either with data or visibility, or if you are investing in decarbonization and our ocean climate change, anything like that, that's one way to support the work that we're doing. If you're an operator, if you are a shipping company, if you are a port, if you are an organization that ships your goods, that's everybody. You know, yes,
Yeah,
if you would like to lead the charge, we would be very happy to work with you. So please contact us, because yeah, just
yeah.
about everyone can get
We
involved.
will share the links
Great.
soon.
Fantastic.
And moving on to your strength through vulnerability,
Mm.
would you mind sharing with us a professional or a personal challenge that you have faced and that you kind of came out of it, and what did you learn from it?
I'm, you know, I think the biggest challenge has been this past year, and
Mm,
just sort of this, you know, a lot of contracts that we had set up, they said, okay, we still have the contract, but it's going to be on hold for a year.
mm,
Or there's an election, and therefore the government funding got pushed off 6 months or 9 months, you know? And so we had to make some tough decisions within Whale Seeker. And it's it's it was really hard for
mm,
the founders. It was hard for the team. It was hard, you know, I think everybody has had to reorient. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're in the blue economy, this
mm,
past, you know, 18 months have been really difficult. Personally, how do you lead through a changing world that's changing so drastically? How can you lead with any certainty? That's been really hard. How do you parent
Yeah.
in such uncertainty? Has been difficult just for me personally.
Mm.
Um, but uh, the wonderful thing that's come out of it is, and it's been really the women entrepreneurs, all the other women CEOs
Mm.
who have built something from the ground up and haven't, I feel like there's a big difference from people who are running something that they got hired for,
Mm.
versus people who are running something that created it from nothing.
Mm.
And the people who created it from nothing are the ones who are saying, okay, this is really hard. You're not allowed to quit because you've had a shitty year. You
Mm.
know, I'm here. You can vent to me. You can help strategize with me. You can go to, I have a crying beach I go to, not far. And where I just need to go to the ocean and cry a little bit. And then I
Yeah.
get back to work. And that's
Mm.
just part of how you deal with difficulty and
Mm.
use the rage,
Yeah.
that we all have, and that
Yeah.
anger, and just, point it in the right direction and really use it. But it really has been the women who are in, the blue business that have been there to share their vulnerabilities as well. And for my birthday this year, I got a chance to have a lot of those women sitting at the same table with me, and that was my birthday present to myself, was being able to
Yeah.
have a a dinner, and it
Mm.
was at a conference. And so that's a lot of times when all of these, none of these
Yeah.
women live in the same place. Some of them didn't know each other, but they were my
Mm.
core group of,
Mm.
to say thank you to them, and to say, I am just thankful to have you all in my life and keeping me moving forward. So that, from a personal and a professional point of view, to have people that you can really trust, um, to yeah, to be vulnerable around. And
Yeah.
then, and recently too, I don't know if you have found this or if the community has found this, but when women win prizes, it comes a lot with coaching. Like,
Mm.
a certain amount of coaching credits. And I know that there's a spot for that, but men don't get coaching as a reward for a prize, and it feels so insulting to win a prize for the things that you've achieved with your entrepreneurship, and then to have your prize be, say, oh, it must be really hard to shoulder all of these responsibilities, here, let me help you. It's like, I feel like it's like saying like, you're winning the prize for the best, whitest teeth. Well, here's some toothbrushes that you can use. It feels, but when men get an opportunity, they win an opportunity to be on a board, an important
Yeah.
board seat, or they get to join this community, or there's something that's going to tangibly help their careers.
Yeah.
And
Boost.
and I don't want hand cream, and I don't want coaching as
Yeah.
a reward for women winning a business prize. And so, um, you
What would
know,
it be? What would it be for you?
yes,
The
I would like the opportunity to speak at a big
Yeah.
event, or I would
Mm.
like to say, okay, I get a free pass to be able to speak at Davos, or I want a seat at the table. I want to be in the room with the community that I want to hear from and who I want to contribute to.
Yeah.
And and so this whole idea that we need to fix things and that we need to find balance, or that balance is achievable, is,
Mm.
I think, just an bullshit, and we
Yeah.
will never meet it. And and living on the St. Lawrence, we have 4-meter tides here. So it's always changing. The sky is always changing. The coastline is always changing. The ice right now is frozen, and so sometimes it's flat and sometimes it looks apocalyptic, and it's not the same, but it's okay. And
Mm.
I think that I would love to reframe what is working for you and what isn't working for you, because I think it can
Yeah,
change from
yeah.
hour to hour. What is an okay balance of things?
Mm.
And sometimes chaos is okay, and sometimes your tolerance for chaos is less, and sometimes you need more peace, and sometimes you need more action.
Yeah.
And I think this idea of, have you achieved that balance, means it's something that's attainable or stable.
Mm.
And I don't know, can you find a new word for it or a new definition? How can
I
we
love the
reframe how
perspective.
we're talking?
It's been taking me a while to get it, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like it's like give me a seat in the room. Like
Yeah.
give me the microphone, or
Yeah.
let me talk or have access to these people.
Yes.
Give me
Open the
half an
doors. Open the
hour.
doors for me.
And
Yeah.
it's not I'm
Yeah.
gonna pitch you my
That's
company.
right.
It's I'm gonna enroll you in my purpose that it's so strong that
Yes,
you
and I
will.
want to learn, and I want to learn too from the people who are at the top. I want to
Yeah.
know what's important to them and what's driving them and what are their concerns, and I just want to be in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a very woman thing that we don't say what we need,
Right.
and it's been
Yeah.
kind of taken for granted that it's a prize, it's a recognition, and here is your
Yeah.
coaching for you to keep a balanced life, and
Right. Yeah.
it's beyond that.
That's
But I
right.
think it's also like we don't even understand it. So if, like now I love it because if we talk about it, it's like yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I don't even need the prize. I just need to to get to get the
The
connection with.
the prize is access, right? The
Yes,
prize
exactly. That's the
is,
ticket.
yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, we need to do something about it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
where were we? Mm.
Well,
Yeah, so this
balance.
this
Yeah.
this thing of advice, I think you open a new level here. So I'm gonna add
Yeah.
this.
We'll have another talk with more
Yeah,
women about what that means.
this is another level. So I need to digest it and add
Yeah.
it and work on something there. But
Yeah.
um, paying forward,
Mm.
what support, knowledge, or resources can you offer to the community?
Mhm. I think I think I would like to pay it forward in a maybe very not traditional way.
Mm.
And that one of the biggest lessons I learned is that if you cannot communicate your worth and your work in a
Mm.
way that is impactful and meaningful, the work that you're doing is going to fall into the void, you
Yeah.
know? And
Mm.
so, and I feel like that communication is often treated as a bonus or an extra, like, oh, just marketing,
Mm.
is always sort of a nice to have instead of essential. And there are some women owned businesses that I work with that are doing a fantastic job for the ocean community, for women entrepreneurs. And so that would be Probity Marketing. And
Mm.
so that team, marketing and strategy, they have been with us from the very beginning, and they know that ocean communication and ocean strategy is very different than what is taught in school, and is very different than what it is in other sort of areas of business. And
Mm.
so Marcella is the CEO of Probity Marketing. And if you want someone to just help you translate the good that you're doing into something that's more visible and a strategy. She is just amazing. She's a certified B Corp as well, and she gives a discount to B Corp companies. So she's a wonderful person to work with and a wonderful company. And I will say the same thing for Pisces. So Natalie and Melissa are co-CEOs of Pisces Oceans, and they do two things. So the first is ocean storytelling in a way that engages, yes, sort of the traditional way of what does your company do, but also they're wonderful for projects that you're managing with multiple stakeholders, and they take care of sort of the budget and the group aspect of everything, which is sometimes like herding cats and will take a lot
Yeah.
of your resources. They're
Mm.
wonderful at managing that. And they're wonderful too at understanding that different groups need different types of communication. So right now we're working with them for the certified routes that we are creating, and we know that talking with ports is a very different way than talking with the IHO, and it's a very different way than talking with the Canadian government. And so understanding that storytelling and putting the work that you're doing in the right light will absolutely grease the way for success. So I would like to pay it forward to those three women running two wonderful companies. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. We will reach
welcome.
out to them and
Good.
yeah, make a shout out to
Good.
the amazing work they're doing.
Yeah.
And you as Emily, what can you offer the community to contact you to, like, because I think this conversation just brings out, well, for me, like even more curiosity and willing to learn more and commit more. So what can you offer to, from a student to a big company that is
Yeah.
listening?
It would be an opportunity to engage with
Mm,
them, to take part in the work which that we're creating, sort of this idea of moving forward. So whether you're in finance and you're curious on how you can get involved in this, if you are in economics, if you are in video gaming, so it's not just biologists that
yes.
have access to this in the same way
Mm,
that I want a seat at the table and I want to be in these conversations. I I want very much for us to open the door to different disciplines and for them to understand how the work that they're doing matters to what we're trying to create. And so I would love for them to contact us and to find a way to get involved with the very complex and huge stakeholder
mm,
work that we're doing. But also, I would love the opportunity, to, if I can reach out and if I can, make a connection with different organizations, if they want a way in, if they want sort of a starting conversation on, oh, how can my insurance company like help us understand, how
mm.
can we get involved, and why should we care about this, that I would love to be that first conversation that you have. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And moving on to the future talents or the next generations,
Mm.
what advice would you, I don't know if you want to put it to yourself as your younger self entering the industry, or just speaking to the up and coming talents, what kind of skills and mindsets or
Mhm.
hacks would you recommend?
I would like to speak to the future generation, and I I know that so many of the positions that the younger generation will have today. I can't even imagine what those positions are going to be.
Mm.
But I know that you will need critical thinking skills. And I know that you will need time management skills and common sense. And you will be able, you need to think for yourself. And the types of people that I don't want to work with are the ones that don't take responsibility for their own work, can't time manage, are not a group player, and if your ego is too big to do a good job at the work. And so those are soft skills. Those aren't hard skills. So whatever hard skills and whatever industry and whatever sector is interesting you in the future, you need to be able to think for yourself, is this a good decision? Is this not a good decision? Am I managing my time well? Am I working well in a group? And I feel like some of those skills have gone out the window. And so just, yeah, being able to be an adult and be accountable, I would say those skills will get you very far.
So nice. Thank you. I have enjoyed so much talking to you, and I think
Me
I'm going to
too.
have you again
I would
soon.
love it. Yes, I would love
Talking
it.
to you.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I really enjoy to connect with you. Like, I know we are in different parts of the world, but it has been a pleasure to connect and kind of jump into your world and learn more about the amazing work that you and your team are doing. So
Thank you.
congratulations. And
Thank
I
you.
wish you all the success in this year, and count with us. And I don't know if you
Yes.
want to add anything else, but for me, one of the beauties of this conversation has been through the questions, the constant reciprocity that you bring. You know, it's like a constant give and
Yeah.
take that I didn't even have to kind of ask you, because you're coming with it. And I think
Thank
that's
you.
the way, that's the mindset. So
Mm.
super inspiring and uplifting and empowering to talk to you, Emily. Thank you.
I have really appreciated this community so much, and the work that you're doing to bring us all together and shine a spotlight and sort of create a table for us all to be around. Thank you for that work. It's active work. It's, you have to put a lot of energy into it. You have to be so intentional, and I know that it is a heavy lift. And I see that work that you guys are doing, and I really appreciate it. So please don't stop.
No, we won't.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. And thank you
Okay.
for everyone
Thank you.
listening, and see you in the
Yeah.
next Makers. Bye, Emily.
Bye-bye.